In this video, we are going to report the number of Grand Slam tournaments owned by each player. Hello, this is Jagan from Growth Data. I am posting this video to share my knowledge in SQL with you. If this assists you in your interview preparation anyways, I will be happy. Welcome to the 34th video of our Advanced SQL 50 Interview Question series. We have different topics to cover and we are now continuing with the Advanced Select and Join related question. This video will be tagged in Advanced SQL 50 Questions playlist and the code we discuss in this video will be in the GitHub link. The link for the GitHub page will be in the video description part. Let's see the data set and you can talk about the question more in detail. So we are given two tables. One is the players and another one is the champions. The players table got the player ID and the player name. The player ID is the unique identifier. So if you have a player ID, you can use this lookup table and you can find the player name. And the champions table, it got the year the tournament was played and for each Grand Slam, who won that Grand Slam. For example, for 2023, the US Open was owned by Novak and Wimbledon was owned by Carlos and French and Australians owned by Novak. In 2022, the US Open is owned by Carlos and Wimbledon by Novak, French and Australian by Nadal. Same thing for 2021. The US Open is by Daniel and all the other Grand Slams are owned by Novak. So this is the data set. It's created. So what they are asking us to do is we have to create the players list, like who is the player and how many Grand Slams they won. So if you see this, Novak won, he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 Grand Slams. So the output has to be for player ID 1, Novak, the total Grand Slam is going to be 7. Same for other players. If the player don't have any Grand Slam for that year, you can just ignore it. You don't have to show up. Okay. So with this scenario, how will you get the data? How we analyze, right? You just take particular US Open for 2023 who won it, for 22 who won it, and 21 who did that. So you get this and then you get the name from here and the total will give you the Grand Slam count. So that is what we are going to start with. Let's go with the first, we can go the US Open. Okay, so we just select from the champions table, is C inner join players table P. So both are connected by P dot player ID is equal to the champions table. You got the US Open Wimbledon. The header is having the player's name. So we just say C dot. Now we are focusing on US Open, right? So we start with US Open. So what we have to get, the player ID and the player's name, and then the champions thing. So C dot, you can say US Open is, yes, US Open. So if I run this, I get the player ID is Novak and this way. So 2 is Carlos and 4 is Daniel. So we're getting 1, 2 and 4. So if we put the year, you can see which year they are, 22, 23, 22, 21, right? So this is for US Open. If I want to get the Wimbledon, then I'll simply say union all US check with, instead of US Open, Wimbledon, and here you can bring the Wimbledon count. So just take this off for now. If you run this, you get 1, 1, 2, right? So Wimbledon is 1, 1, 2, right? So we get the players list. So we are going to combine both the US as well as Wimbledon. When you run this, you get all the 6 entries, right? So 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, 1. So all 6 came. So for other 2, what I do, I just continue with the same process, this and this. After Wimbledon is French Open. You connect with French Open. The last one is Australian Open. Australian Open. So if I run this, I get all the list. Now with this denormalized one with raw data as, now I have all the players list. So I say player ID, player ID and their name, and then I have to count all the champions thing, right? So I just say count of here French Open, all this, right? So I can simply say as count Grand Slam GS count. Oops, GS. It's a bit meaningful. So I can just take this alias name. Actually, the first select statement, if you have alias name, everything will carry that, right? For example, if you see, I don't want to do this. You see here, I have alias name only in the first select statement, right? So if I run this, I get the header as the first one. Even if the second one I say test, it will carry the GS count, the first select statement, right? Okay. So that is the case, and then we get this count of the GS count. It's a best practice to have the alias name in all the select statement. So it will be much standard format, right? Okay. So we just say GS count. So the GS count is going to be the third column, Grand Slam count. That's why you put GS count as Grand Slam. Since we use aggregation function, we have to use group by from raw data, group by 1, 2. If I run this, I get for every player what is the output. So here the player ID is sorted. So I can do order by how much, whatever column need. Order what the order by 1. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Novak got 7. So Novak is 1, right? So 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then Carlos is 2. So he got 2. And Nadal got 2. And Daniel got 1. So total of 12 has been split between 7, 2, 2, and 1. So we got the output. That is good. But if you see the SQL, you use the champions table 4 times and the players table 4 times. So the basic thing is you don't have to bring in the player name through the even in the starting point of it. You can just do it at the end. I'm going to use the same table, but I try to reduce the call to that table, right? Instead of calling 4 times, I'm going to reduce the call. Let's see how to do that. So I can get the first one, right? You can get this and say select. I can just get only the player ID, okay? Like say player ID from the champions table, right? So I don't have to do anything big. So first one is the US Open, right? So I just take only the US Open and I run this. It got 1, 2, and 4. So 1, 2, 4. If I want to go with second one, the Wimbledon, I can simply say union all. I say Wimbledon as player ID union all. So I go with the other two. So go with union all, this and this. So second is Wimbledon, third is French Open, and fourth is Australian Open. So I got all the numbers now, right? 124 and 211, 131. So I got all the player counts. Now I take this as the CT table. I go with this and then I can connect with the players table. So player ID equal to, right? So I can copy this join. You can say select from the raw data inner join raw data is src inner join p and this equal to src dot we say player ID, right? So the same player ID. Now I can say p dot player ID and bring the name p dot player name. So now we have all the player IDs, right? Simply I can say the count of so we got this, okay, count star. So how many times the player occurred, as I get the column name as Grand Slam count. Oh, okay, count star, I don't want this guy. So count star as the Grand Slam from this. Since I use count star, I say group by 1, 2, order by player ID. If I run this, I get the same result 7, 2, 2, 1. So what is the big difference here? We use the player table, champions table 4 times, but we use the players table only once. So we got all the users or all the players in one set for all the US, Wimbledon, French Open, Australian. We combine and create a single data set, and then from that data set you connect with the players table and get the information. Okay. Is it simple, right? So here we got 4 of champions, 4 of players table call. Here we reduce that to half. That is good, but we can further simplify this because we are using the champions table 4 times, right? Let's see if we can reduce that too. So I'm going to start with select from the champions table is C inner join the players table P on P dot player ID. So how will you connect the champions for every Grand Slam names, right? So first is US Open. So here you can say P dot player ID and P dot player name. And last time we got the column for the player stuff, right? US Open. So this is what we did, right? Initially, this is what we did. So what difference we are going to make? We run this, we got the US Open data, like 1, 2, 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm creating a case statement. Creates when the player ID is equal to the US Open. That means whoever owned the thing. Then I say 1, else 0, n as you can say check the column name. It's Grand Slam count, right? We are going to bring this column as a Grand Slam count. If I run this, I got 1, 1, 1. User player ID is equal to the US champion. If I want to go with the second part of it, or the player ID is equal to C dot Wimbledon. If that is the case, if I run it, see for all the other combinations, right? We can just say C for namesake. We can just say A, B, C. Okay. So this is for the US Open, right? The same thing we are going to do for Wimbledon. We say B. So if I combine both, and if I run this, for A, this is US Open, we got 1, 2 and 4. So 1 is Novak, 2 is Carlos, 4 is Daniel. So only for those users or for those players, the value is 1 for US Open. For same for Wimbledon, it's Novak and Carlos. You see this? Carlos, Novak and Novak, right? 1 is Novak. So we got the count like this. So whichever is related to the player who won that one, it got 1. For others, it becomes 0. So I can repeat the same for other Grand Slams. So A, B, C I can use for French, and D I can use for Australian. F for Open, and this is AU Open. A, B, C and D. Now if I run, okay, I have to add the joins also. R and R equal to US Open, sorry, French Open, and last one is Australian Open. Right? We combine the player ID condition with any of the columns whoever own it. Right? Okay, so AU Open, I changed it. Okay, if I run this, I got all the 4 columns combined. Right? So whoever owns the particular Grand Slam, you get 1. For others, it becomes 0. So I have this data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine all this. A plus this guy plus third Grand Slam plus Australian. Now if I run this, all this, what happened as, so all this combined, right? So we got Novak as 3, right? And this one is 1, this one is 3, so 7. So you got 3, 1 and 3. You got the 7 Grand Slam. So to aggregate this, I can simply use the sum part because we use 0 and so on. So we just combine this, and the column name is going to be the Grand Slam count. Since I use sum, I say group by 1, 2, order by 1. If I run this, I got the same result. Here the advantage is I use the table only once. The problem is you use the OR condition in the join. It's going to kill the performance. It's not going to be that bad because of this volume, but OR condition you have to be mindful. This second approach we did, right? We combined all the champions data and then you join the players might be a better option. But calling both the tables 4 times is not a good part of it. So combining this SQL 4 times is the third one, and the OR condition I go with the second option. The first option I will go with combining all the champions and then join with the players table. If you want to see this code, the code will be in the GitHub page. The video will be in advanced SQL 50 questions playlist, and every video will have the GitHub link, the description part, which will take you to the code base. So the one we are talking about is the 34th video. Here we have both the tables and what is expected. First, the brute force method where you call both the tables 4 times. Then effective way, combining all the champions and connect with the players. Third one is you call a table only once and you address the question. You can use this for your practice. If you want to join the WhatsApp channel, there is a link here. You can use this and join Growth Data WhatsApp channel. I will be posting the shots in this group before the actual video goes live. So hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.